There will be a short channel update at the end of this video. Well guys, it's been about a week since the wipe, and I don't know about you guys, but it seems like it's been a lot longer than just 1 week. Many of us have been furiously grinding away at our tasks and exploring the new content, trying to get ahead of the competition. I wanted to take a little time today to share with you my thoughts on the update, now that we've had some time to get used to the changes. And after you've watched this video, I want to get your thoughts on the update as well, so don't forget to let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I'm about to say. Alright, let's get into it. I want to start off by saying that my overall impressions of the patch is mostly good. I like the direction that BSG is going with this update, and although some of the changes they've implemented need a little refinement, they hit on many key complaints about the game that have been plaguing both casual and hardcore Tarkov players for a long time. First, let's start off with progression. They've really slowed down progression in this update to help extend the early wipe for all players. You've probably noticed that your character will become overweight at a much lower weight, so stopping frequently to regen your stamina helps to delay the meta of just holding Shift plus W for an entire raid and zooming all over the map. BSG really wants people to take a more tactical and slower approach to combat, and forcing players to slow down or stop to do something can help put you in that mindset. You may have also noticed that you are leveling up a little slower than before, and that's because it takes roughly 15 to 25% more XP to level up than before. Again, this is a measure to extend the early wipe and to prevent too many people from power leveling and unlocking meta gear and ammunition types. This is another change I'm in support of, and myself and pretty much everyone in our Discord agrees that this wipe feels more intense than previous ones. In the patch notes, they simply said that new quests were added, but what I never anticipated were just how many quests were added. There's like a dozen new quests, and most of them are on Reserve, my all-time favorite map. Reserve always felt underutilized in terms of quests, as there were only 2 or 3 quests on the map, and it always felt like a waste to have so many unique areas and map assets, but no tasks to go with them. This is an amazing addition to the game, and I think that the map is large enough that they could add a few more in the future if they wanted. And lastly for progression is now the extremely controversial topic of the Kappa container. Endgame is probably EFT's weakest area right now, as so many people have a desire to power level through all the quests and unlock everything, but after you max your traders, there's really only one endgame activity to pursue, the Kappa container. Unless you want to try to get the tracksuit, but unless you like playing EFT for a living, that kind of seems like torture. There's now a level requirement to obtain the Kappa, and it's level 71. Essentially what this means is that Kappa is unobtainable by even the top 1% of EFT players. Yes, even the streamers that play 10 to 16 hours per day will most likely not get Kappa unless this wipe is unusually long, which it might be. Getting level 70 with the new XP requirements is going to be a long and grueling process that very few will obtain. But to get to level 71, you will need just as much XP as it took you to go from level 0 to level 70. I have a feeling that 1 or 2 people may be able to achieve this, but my question is, at what cost? Playing any game for every minute you are awake, for months on end, can take its toll on your mental health, as many top streamers have complained over the years of a type of streamer's fatigue that can lead to depression and a general sense of feeling unwell. One of my favorite Tarkov streamers recently quit streaming, citing extremely serious mental health issues, and seeing this high requirement for the Kappa may make some individuals think they are forced to play longer and harder than ever so they can be considered one of the elite. I really want this requirement to be changed so that Kappa is still hard to get, but not in the realm of cruel and unusual punishment. Next, let's check out new game mechanics. The Scav Karma system is in effect in its first iteration, and it is predictably being ignored, but not completely. It's really no surprise that gamers have found a way to exploit and cheese this new system. By taking car extracts as a PMC, you can gain a massive amount of fence reputation. So as long as you are using car extracts once in a while, you can still kill player scavs on sight with little repercussion. I found that on most maps, player scavs will typically still kill on sight in most situations, with one exception, that is Shoreline. I'm not sure what it is about this map, but if you happen to be a scav on Shoreline, I found that in almost every encounter, player scavs are friendly and willing to trade. Only once in probably 20 scav runs have I been killed on sight by another player scav. Nikita recently said that they do have plans to tweak the system and add to it, so expect this to be refined with scav tasks and quests eventually being added as well. Nikita, if you are listening, try to incorporate many missions that require scavs to cooperate to help incentivize team play. Next is weapon malfunctions. Before I go into this, I'd like to say that I like the idea of weapon malfunctions. Being very experienced with real-life guns, I've seen just about every type of malfunction you can imagine in a firearm. And I do like the idea that high-end meta ammo is harder on the guns. and degrades them quicker. But its first implementation in Tarkov has left quite a few players feeling a little salty about this new addition. Unfortunately, weapons can misfire even when they're brand new, and to add insult to injury, many people, including myself, have had brand new guns misfire on them within the first few rounds fired. This has got me killed several times now, and I think this mechanic needs to be tweaked so that most guns need to meet a minimum durability threshold before they start to jam. Currently, the weapon jamming system is just an annoyance that distracts from gameplay, but if it can be improved upon, it can reward diligent players that maintain their weapons properly while punishing those forgetful enough to let their weapons fall into disrepair. And on to new content. The new boss Tagala is a great addition to the game. He is terrifying, and some of the clips of people being pummeled to death by him are extremely entertaining to watch. I was worried that his animations would look janky and weird for some reason, but I was delighted to see this is not the case, and he is now definitely one of the more fun and disturbing bosses in the game. I think we all deserve to have a little more story and lore about this guy, so I hope new information is released that expands upon who he is. Also, the factory expansion is great. I was worried it was going to change factory too much and make the map too open. Factory does feel slightly more slowed down than normal, as whenever you stick players in a larger map they tend to move a little slower, but I think this is what BSG intended. But it doesn't make the map too big, and I like what they've done with the place. The new optics overhaul is one of the most amazing additions to the game, and surprisingly one of the least talked about. The Alcan Spectre DR rifle scope, for example, is now an absolute joy to use, where before it felt clunky and awkward. We all now have much more freedom with which optics we want to use, which adds much needed variety to the game. And lastly, new guns. The CMMG Mutant is definitely a beast, and as I predicted, these will definitely overtake the 7.62 AKs later in the wipe. The new shotgun is pretty cool, but other than all the crazy attachments, it doesn't really seem all that different from the 153, so it's neat, but I'm not that wild about it. I really hope we do get some mid-wipe guns, as I think we were all hoping for the Scar, but unfortunately, it didn't make it into the patch. That's my general impressions of the patch and the wipe so far. This wipe is definitely about survival and slowing yourself down and really deciding carefully on what kind of kit you want to bring in and what fights you want to engage in. Making money is probably going to be difficult this wipe, so don't feel bad if you're playing a little bit more ratty than you normally do. With the Flea being moved to level 20, many of you will struggle for quite some time, but stick with it and adjust to this new kind of gameplay. I think BSG will continue to make Tarkov more intense and more difficult, and they'll also continue to cut out things like metas and min-maxing as much as they can. And don't feel bad if you aren't progressing lightning fast, or as fast as your favorite streamers. As I said before, there are people who are willing and able to sink upwards of 10 hours per day into this game, sometimes more. You do not need to compete with these kinds of players, or feel if you aren't good at Tarkov just because you aren't taking a slick into every raid only a week after the wipe. Go at your own pace, and enjoy Tarkov the way you want to play it. Alright, now time for a short channel update. As some of you know, I've had family obligations over the past 3 weeks. I don't really get to see my daughter all that often, so I wanted to make sure that she was my primary focus while I had the chance. I know you guys are hungry for more content, specifically lore stuff, and trust me, I'm working on it. I'm currently working on a huge script for a new Dealers of Tarkov video. In this one, I'm adding in way more storytelling and narrative elements than I've ever done before. If it turns out how I envision it, it's going to be a wild ride, and it will take time to produce. I'm also in the beginning stages of trying to find an artist that can paint, draw, or sketch me storyboard images to help tell these stories. We're not really a big channel and we don't really have hardly any income yet, so I can't really pay much, but the more support and views we get, I can hopefully get a budget in the future to pay these artists and start producing some really top-notch stories. In the meantime, I do appreciate it when you guys still watch our other Tarkov videos about guns, gear, updates, guides, and news. These videos are significantly easier to produce, and it helps keep the content pipeline flowing while we work on the big fish. Anyways, I just want to explain why there's been a small lapse in the release of content, but as of today, I'm back on the grind full time, and hopefully we can get these videos out to you soon. I sincerely appreciate the support, and I'll have those videos out soon, but until then, I'm Jeff with EUL Gaming. Good luck out there.